Welcome to Joke Insurance, where we show you jokes from different comedians that are suspiciously similar and let you decide. Coincidence, parallel thinking, dirty joke thievery. My name is Tarek, and joining me today is Pedro. How are you, Pedro?
Hey, Tarek. Thanks for having me. I'm very, very good. I'm having a great week. Thanks for having me.
Okay, excellent. And also joining me is Rob Flynne. How are you today, Rob?
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
You ready to watch some videos and compare them?
Let's go with it. Yeah.
All right. So first up, I'm going to show you a clip from Amy Schumer, and then we wind back to watch Patrice O'Neal. So check it out.
You have a gorilla masker? Gorilla mask? That's it. You come in her face, right? And then take some pubic hair and throw it at her.
Here's the Abraham Lincoln. That's where the guy trims his pubes, comes on the girl's face, and then throws the pubes. So she has that facial hair.
You have a poltergeister? Poltergeist is good. Well, you need your friend though, right? Like you're fucking him from behind, and then you sneak out, and he takes your place, and then you walk outside and wave at her through the window. And then you go, I'm here.
The worst one I've ever heard is the Houdini, which is where the guy's having sex with the girl from behind. Then unbeknownst to her, his friend subs in for him. Guy number one runs outside, knocks on the window, waves to the girl.
Yeah, I'm being accused of stealing jokes, and I wanted to come and talk to you about it and clear my name, because I would never, ever do that, and I never have. I'm literally gonna take a polygraph test and put it on my show this season, and I promise whatever the results are, I won't let them cut. I will show that I had never seen Patrice do that bit.
Okay, so before I ask my guest comedians for their thoughts, what do you think watching at home? Is this a case of joke theft or something more innocent? Click the I button here and let us know in the poll we've got going. And then leave your comments why in the comments section below. So I'll throw it to you guys. Pedro, what do you think?
Oof. See, I mean, this is a tough one, I guess, because I mean, Amy Schumer already has got like a lot of backlash from joke thieving and all that. No, I was watching this, and I don't know if it actually is. I mean, it is the same. It's the same thing. People just tell those jokes to other people. I don't know to what extent was even Patrice. Did he write that? I don't know. Did he get it from one of his mates and then he embellished and make it something nice? So I don't know. With this one, I'll be honest. I would call it like parallel thinking. Honestly, like I would give that Amy Schumer maybe heard this from somebody, which she stole like a mate or a friend like that. Then she just expanded on it. I don't know.
Listen, yeah. So you give her the benefit of the doubt on that one.
I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and that one on that one. There's others which are a bit too.
There you go, Amy.
This one,
so Pedro has let you off the hook. Let's see if Rob's going to be as nice to you.
Yeah, I don't know, Pedro. I'm just going to play devil's advocate for the sake of it. I mean, if you look at the two pieces, the two jokes, like they're fundamentally it's the same routine. Just the words change. So like, yeah, I don't know. I think the routine in general is pretty copied. Where they copy it from or where if it's a street joke or not, I'm not really sure. But yeah, I mean, I think there's too much coincidence in it for it not to be lifted. Because I know she opened for Patrice O'Neal before.
Okay, so that's a thumbs down from Rob and one thumbs up from Pedro. I'm also going with the thumbs down. I was quite surprised by your thoughts, Pedro, because I think it's an obvious case of joke thievery. But that being said, it is just because of the vast collection of Amy Schumer examples that are out there. It's repeat offence at its finest. And I agree with you, Rob, that the premise is exactly the same. Doesn't matter what point you made afterwards, or even that you change gorilla mask to Abraham Lincoln for the hair on the face. Like you could have easily just called that the Pedro as well, for example. It's
I'd be very honored.
You would, yeah. So sexual act named after you.
Is that what happened to you?
Oh, they just did a Pedro. I'm like, oh, thank you. I'm like, yes.
I mean, you could make that sexual act slightly different to throwing pubes in somebody's. You could make the setup slightly different, or that joke different. You know what? It's exactly the same. So we'll never know.
And honestly, you have to assume for that to happen, for the Houdini to happen, that somebody's having sex in a room with a window which is open on the ground floor. So, like, I mean, there's not that many people with that would be fully open the window having sex, like, and in the ground floor. I mean, I'm just saying.
I like how, Pedro, you go straight to the practicalities of it. Like, no, this could never work. Like,
and Houdini was good, but it wasn't that good.
Do you want to watch another example?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so here we are. This one's a little bit different because it's actually me doing a couple of jokes and then winding back and watching other comedians doing a similar joke before I even started stand-up. So, you know, just because we're here kind of like analysing other comedians, so I thought, okay, I'll put a couple of my jokes up there. So have a look at this. Here's the first one. Yeah, coming from Australia, one of the first things I noticed in Dublin was that people say sorry all the time. They're just constantly apologising, and like, you know, the English are also known for sort of like apologising all the time, but with the English, everyone accepts it. We're like, well, you know, yeah, you kind of should be, you know. But with the Irish, I'm always asking them, like, why are you apologising all the time? They're kind of just for kind of being there. And the other day I saw a parked bus that said, sorry, not in service. It's like, you're a boss. I'm sure you've been working really hard. Take a break. Chill out a little bit.
I walked by a dry cleaner at 3 a.m. and the sign says, sorry, we're closed. You don't have to be sorry. It's 3 a.m. and you're a dry cleaner. It would be ridiculous for me to expect you to be open. I'm not going to walk in at 10 a.m. and say, hey, man, I walked by at 3 and you guys were closed. Somebody owes me an apology.
Rob, what's your take on this one? Am I a dirty, dirty joke thief?
As much as I'd like to think that you're a dirty, dirty joke thief, Tarek, I don't think you are. It's interesting what you were saying at the end of the last conversation in terms of if you are taking like thieving a joke or lifting a joke, then you know you have to make it fundamentally different, at least stylistically, from the person you're stealing it from. I think the one thing about this that's clear is that I don't know. I don't think there's any clear correlation between you lifting Mitch Hedberg's style or like you trying to make it different. I think it's your take. You know, I think that comes across from the outset. Yeah.
Okay. You're not being nice because we're friends, yeah?
No. I'm not sure if you've other material, but I'll make sure and disparage you in those.
Okay, thanks.
Drag you through them all a small bit.
Okay. Pedro, what's your thoughts?
I think I remember hearing you say this joke. Maybe, I don't know, maybe, but I do know Mitch Hedberg a lot. I do like him a lot, and I will go with Rob with this one. I don't think this is you're stealing the joke because it's the same observation. It's a very actually in a way it's a very Seinfeld observation. You walk past a store, it says sorry, we're closed. You're like, you don't need to say you're sorry. So I can imagine many people in a way writing the joke. Your joke before, I think it makes a whole new thing. It's about how the English always have to say you're sorry, which is hilarious. And
of course, yeah.
And then use that example for the Irish, which is, you know, just to embellish the first point. I mean, that's all that is, in my opinion.
And actually, it's interesting that you say that, Pedro, because like that joke could be even slightly different in the sense that if you change the form of it around. So if you Tarek had put the the bit about the English last, if you put that punchline last and maybe put the bit about the bus in the middle, then the subject of the joke, the whole subject could have been the English people. It could have been, you know, making fun of English people. With Mitch Hedberg's stuff and like his style, it's very much one-liner, observational comedy, not much subtext there in terms of that. It's like he's not trying to, you know, make a specific point as opposed to play with language a small bit, you know. So, but yeah, exactly, I think his style is kind of the key point here, where it's so different that to Tarek's joke.
Because in this I was actually trying to do a longer piece on how, you know, I came to Ireland and then I noticed that the Irish say sorry all the time, which is an observation. I never managed to make it that funny, but the only bit I got a good laugh on, as you saw, was the English bit. And paying out the English is kind of cheating in Irish comedy, because it's too easy. It's low hanging fruit. I'd only done that sort of line about the bus a couple of times at open mics around Dublin, and you must have forgotten about it, Pedro, because it was actually you that said, that reminds me of a Mitch Hedberg joke. And
oh shit, was it?
Yeah, it was. So I went and checked it out, and it was like, I've seen this before. And whether or not I had, just the fact of seeing like a comedian who's really funny doing, in my opinion, it's exactly the same premise, because it's like you see the word sorry, or you hear the sorry when it's not like a literal apology kind of context, and then you take it as if it's supposed to be literal. I think that should happen in comedy, you know, like it's inevitable that you're going to do all this similar jokes and subject material, and I think you have to kind of like tell each other and communicate and go, do you think that was too close to this Mitch Hedberg joke? And you know, with I think that's the way you have to do it, because like there's a big difference between doing a joke a couple of times at a low-key open mic around Dublin than doing it live at the Apollo.
Hoping in that Mitch Hedberg clip that it would cut to the audience and we'd see Tarek in there kind of frantically scribbling down information.
Maybe I'll add that in. That would be...
If I can add one thing, I remember it was like a year, 2 years ago. Again, I don't remember who it was. Somebody, I think, they only did Jesters once or something, an open mic once. And another comedian told me that it's like, like he was recording somebody, like, this person stole you a joke about, finding yourself. I was like, that'd be a very specific, stealing that one particular joke, you know, thing. And then I saw the video, and it wasn't. He literally just said, I was trying to find myself. He used the term. I was like, well, that's not joke stealing, you know, that's a very very common sentence of saying finding yourself.
For me, it's not about the language so much, it's about the premise. And you know, in the Amy Schumer example, for like, that doesn't matter that you changed gorilla to Abraham Lincoln and poltergeist to Houdini. The premise is exactly the same. You've just chosen a different word to sort of like dress it up. All right, so it sounds like you guys give me the thumbs up on that one.
Double thumbs up.
All right, you want to watch another one of my joke comparisons?
Yes, we want to nail you down. Let's go for it.
So here's another one of mine that I did at a open mic around Dublin, and then we wind back to watch Greg Giraldo. Have a look. And then the next person who walked past, you ever heard that? People say to like homeless people, get a job. And that really bothers me, because it's like you're implying that having any job is better than not working. You know, as if the worst thing you can do in life is not work. So, you know, to the question, hey, what do you do? There are people who would rather hear, I design weapons for small children. Because we found that, like, you know, conventional weaponry is like too heavy for their small hands. Make them a nice kid-friendly gun. We've just released the Hello Kitty Kalishnikov. You know, people would rather hear that than I'm unemployed.
People could be so harsh to homeless guys, you know? I walked behind this guy the other day, and this homeless guy asked him for money, and he looks right at the homeless guy. He goes, why don't you go out and get a job, man? Go out and get yourself a job. Like, it's always that easy. This homeless guy was wearing his underwear outside his pants. I'm guessing his resume ain't all up to date. I'm predicting some problems during the interview process. I'm pretty sure even McDonald's has an underwear go inside the pants policy. This guy's been living in the garbage for 6 months. What kind of job is he supposed to get? Hey, welcome to IBM, Smelly. Come on in, we got a job for you. Thank God you finally made it. That's your desk over there with the air fresheners on it. Make yourself comfortable. I like the look with the underwear. And it's Casual Friday, so it's all perfect, but you might want to go with those shoes later.
At home, if you're watching, click the little I here, vote in the poll. Be honest, am I a dirty, dirty joke thief? In-house comedians, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the premises are very similar, but like underneath the actual joke, the subtext, I guess, or the moral judgment that you're trying to make is kind of fundamentally different. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Tarek, like I think you're trying to say like that, you're quite literally said that people who don't have a job, you know, people view them quite differently. But what he's trying to say is that, you know, society makes it hard for homeless people to get a job. So like the whole kind of interpretation of the joke is completely different in the points you're trying to make.
Yeah, I feel like, Tarek, you kind of go a little like straight up onto the nonsense and absurd view of like, oh, so it's better to have any job, so I can make guns for kids, or I can like do horrible things as long as it's a job. So that's like for me like a very good exaggeration, you know, like to the absurd. While the other guy is clearly just making like an observation, like, how the fuck, why are you saying that to this person? This person has a lot of problems before they get to the point where they need to get a job. So they need to sort out all these things, and then you can get it. So instead of like maybe being mean to this person, help them out with all these things, and then they can get a job. You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. He's making the point that like, I don't think this guy can just get a job that easily. Whereas I'm making the point that like, you're making your moral judgment that getting a job, any job, is better than being unemployed. This would be a case where I'm quite comfortable to like post those two up and see them side by side, because I'm comfortable enough that the premise is different. Whereas in the Mitch Hedberg, even though it's a very short one line, I'm like, it's the same premise, and he did it years before me. So for me, as far as the way I sort of approach it, is it doesn't matter whether I came up with the idea completely independently, having never seen Mitch Hedberg. What matters to me is that he's done it first. So that's his joke. That's why I like sort of putting these videos up as like side-by-side comparisons, because then I think you can go, all right, but with my material, this is two cases that show both sides of it. It's like, no, I'm not comfortable with the Mitch Hedberg one. Whereas this get a job routine with Geraldo, I'm fine with that one. And I would keep it if I could make it funnier.
The fact that there's already a joke that is famous and existed before, if you're any comedian who's worth, you know, anything, you'd be like, you know what, I'll do something else.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Like, I mean, you don't have to, you can have some integrity as a comedian. You don't have much, but you can choose to have a small bit. But like when you're starting out, especially in comedy, you're kind of susceptible to cliches, I suppose, in your writing, and I suppose it's harder in that sense to avoid them when you don't realize that you're making a mistake, you know. So it's easier to be accused, I think, when you're starting out of stealing a joke, especially when all the premises that come to the forefront of your mind are quite possibly contrived in the sense that they've been done before, you know, and that your brain isn't kind of being as original as you could be, you know. So I think the more original you try to be, I know that's a cliche in itself, but like the more original you try and be, the less susceptible you are to your jokes being stolen. I mean, that's why I don't really understand comics who are accused of stealing jokes, and the material is so similar to the joke that it's being accused of being similar to, because you're like, you're on the world stage. Why are you risking this material being accused of being similar, or if not stolen from somebody else. You know, I don't really understand that. Why would you change it?
You say that originality is like hard to rip off, but also it's those really original comedians that have their unique voice, and it's very them, and it's hard to take off, that last the test of time. And perhaps it's the people that aren't that creative deep down, you know, for want of a better way to say it, like that do sort of rely on stealing, you know, like those dirty boxers that know they're never going to make it to the fucking world championship unless they sort of get dirty and fucking start cheating a little bit, because they just don't have the inherent skill. So that's a couple of thumbs up, is it? All right, yeah, sure. Let us know what you think of those routines from me at home. Be honest, I can take it. All right, so I do actually have another example. First, we have Abu from 2015, and then we wind back to 2004 to see Ben le Dean.
قد ابتليت بهذه الأمانة أمانة ثقيلة فوليت عليكم ولست بخيركم ولا أفضل منكم.
فتح الله عليهم فدمروا أمريكا تدميرا. أرجو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يرفع قدرهم وأن يرزقهم الفردوس الأعلى إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه.
Okay, but I mean, come on, that's pretty obvious plagiarism, isn't it? He's ripping off Al Qaeda and Bin Laden from like the 90s and thousands.
It's definitely the same joke, honestly. I mean, like, it's the same modus operandi. I don't think they changed a lot. I mean, it's the same premise all through and through. It's always death to America, but any good comedian would be what sort of death, would try to analyze how will death happen to America, maybe put a couple of examples, you know, the rule of three, some nice metaphors. So it is joke still, a theft, but both of them are not very creative jokes.
Not very creative. Okay, I thought like, because the whole ISIS, you know, even though it's obvious plagiarism, like, it's all the Jews' fault, death to America. But they did that whole like, you know, the chopping the heads off thing. That was pretty unique. But otherwise, it's, you know, it's the same premise, isn't it? Like, I think Al Qaeda were more into like blowing up American buildings. Rob, what do you think? Can you let this one slide, or is ISIS just too obviously plagiarizing?
I don't know. I was a bit disappointed. I was expecting Bin Laden to come out with some material on like Houdini or some shit. So like I was kind of, I was a bit disappointed. No, but yeah, lacking subtext really, lacking any formula of comedy. Embarrassing.
Yeah, I've seen better in open mics. Yes, definitely.
Really, not impressed with the delivery.
No mic skills whatsoever.
So your advice would be, don't give up your day job.
Well, give it up. Give everything up. Don't you? Like just
don't do any
day job, if anything. Yeah.
Get a day job. Yeah, get a
normal day job.
Become an accountant.
Thanks for joining us, Pedro and Rob. Where can people find you?
On Instagram and Facebook, I'm The Funny Peasant. I do gaming streaming on every Monday and Friday on Twitch. Check out Post Performance Pints as well on Facebook and Instagram, and our show on Sundays, 8 p.m. Dublin time.
Thanks, Pedro. What about you, Rob?
Not as much as Pedro. God damn, Pedro, make me feel bad here. If when normal service resumes, people can come watch me do stand-up. They can find out where I'm going to be doing stand-up on Instagram. I'm on Flinstagram, I think is my handle, and on Twitter I put out the occasional joke. My handle is Pure Flynn. And
just before I let you go, Pedro and Rob, do you guys have joke insurance?
Joke insurance? No. Well, where can I get that amazing joke insurance?
It's really easy to get. What you do is you just subscribe to this channel, and that's it. You're insured. If anyone ever does any of your material, then you can just let me know, and I'll make an episode about it. Great. So same to you guys at home. Thanks for joining us, Rob and Pedro. And for
Thanks
watching,
thanks for having me, Tarek.
like, subscribe, all that. We'll see you next time.
See you guys. Thanks for having me. See you guys. See you, Tarek. See you, Rob.